Welcome everybody to Awareness Time with Zohar, and Jackie today is joining me. So hello Jackie, and thank you for joining our time. Maybe I'll let you introduce yourself.
Oh, welcome. Good evening. My name's Jackie. I've met Zohar through her wonderful sister Shikma when she journeyed here to New Zealand. So I'm here from New Zealand visiting the energies of our planet as I move through my own work that I do here in New Zealand with crystals and healing work on the energy of the earth, clearing people's properties and places, bringing back alignment. So yeah, I like to, enjoy. I've got my husband here, my beautiful daughter and granddaughter. So spend a lot of time with them. Many fun times had by all. So my journey has been with Native elders from here in New Zealand with the Maori elders. Also spent some time in Australia with the Native elders over there, which is the Aborigines, which to me, when you meet them and work with them, the work that they do is so ancient. It's the mother talking through them when you work with the elders of that sort of language and that land. And journeying across the land in Australia, Uluru and Katajukas and that sacred sites through there, which many people know of as with Australia. But as I said, New Zealand's my home. I've journeyed from the top to the bottom and done a lot of work with the land and with some very beautiful people here that engage with planting our lands and bringing things back to where we were once before, especially with where we are on the planet at the moment with all the changes going on, and understanding what they mean and how we've played a role in that. So Zohar's asked me to join her tonight and just share some awareness that we've both been discussing and talking with each other about, and opening that line of communication around how we can support each other as we move away from the dependency of the planet and understand how we can give back to her.
Thank you.
That's me, a little bit of me.
Yeah. I love it that you say join you tonight, because for me it's morning.
Of course, yes.
I feel like it's really fifth dimension already, because it's like morning and night at the same time. And it's really 1 hour or 1 day, like in different angles of it. So I love it that we are holding day and night right now, and we are holding also summer and winter, because you just had a very big storm.
Yes,
and here it's extremely hot, and it's like the height of summer. So one of the things I'm excited about working with you is really being on two sides of the planet and really doing awareness work that it really reflects that it's 1 day or 1 night or one thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that same with your, when we look at our solstice energies and planetary marks that we celebrate, like our solstices and fire energies of the planet. So yours, like you say, are in the light in the daytime, and ours are in the evening and the nighttime. We're in winter, you're in summer. So your summer solstice is our winter solstice, so it's really cool, like you say, just having the balance of the whole day in one conversation between ourselves. Very cool.
Yeah, it is, because it really, I think, reflects one of the shifts that we are going through in consciousness, which is time is shifting for us. I feel like we don't feel time as we used to feel it before. And it's a very big paradigm that we are experiencing ourselves through.
Definitely.
So it just, like when we say, okay, now it's the longest day here, it's also the shortest day somewhere else. So it's really 1 day. We keep waking up into 1 day that is being experienced in different time zones differently. So I like the opportunity to work together, because I feel like we are holding with each conversation or each crystal alignment the whole planet in a
Definitely.
way.
Yeah. And like I was just talking to you earlier, you know, with the medicine of dreamtime and that, and how the planet works, like you say. So connecting in with you instead of traveling the web around our planet like we do with this internet and that. Because I work within the Earth Mother and the energy of the planet, there's also a energy link between your spot where you guys are in Israel and where I am here in New Zealand. There's a link that runs right through the planet. And when you start to work with the planet and her alignments like that, these are all happening all over the place. So it's a shorter link if you go through the planet as opposed to going around the planet.
Right.
Vibration. Yeah. So
yeah. So we really can connect at any time. Like, and we are really connected all the time. We're just not aware of it.
Conscious of it. Yes, yeah. It's that underlying signals and connections. And like I was saying, you know, my dreams, I don't recall my dreams very, very regularly, but when I do, but waking and seeing your face, knowing that we were having this meeting this week and everything that my mind and my guides and spirit's been talking to me about to open the doorway for what this meeting was going to be about and where it flowed to. So it's been a very interesting week. And then, as I said, last night was all about, okay, it was, to me, it's like, it was the new moon. So there was no moon in the sky. And we had a meteor showers going on over here at last night too. And all of that was happening. And then the power lines went out and it was like, oh, well, we're not meant to talk tonight. It's about where that energy flows and opens the door for what came in today and showing what that brings in. So, you know, knowing that we can just keep flowing, you don't have to be held back by what gets stopped within the physical realm, and connecting through the dream time and meditation and links that way too, and astro travel and things like that we can tap into and connect through. So fun and games.
Maybe you can, well, this talk will go also on video and also on podcast, but whoever is watching it on video, maybe you can explain the crystals behind you, because they are, maybe you can talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, okay. As I said, my work is with crystals. I've been working with crystals if I think about it, I know as a child I used to collect them and pick them up and gift them to people, and stones off the beach. So it's not just your crystals, your pretty shiny things. It's that grey wacky pebble that hitches a ride in your boot. You know, stones learn how to travel by utilizing us human beings to move them around the planet. And I find that quite interesting, because people go, I don't get stones, and then all of a sudden they'll have a stone in their boot and they have to empty it out, and it's come from over the other side of the island or something like that. So it's really interesting. So what I've got sitting in the background today is Shimiku, who's a crystal skull that came from out of a Mongolian monastery in 2012. She was sent to my carver mentor, Mick. So this is Shimiku. And she is over 500, well, more than 500 years old plus. We don't know exactly how old she is. She was sent to the gentleman that I do my carving, my mentor, and the work that she's been doing with me is about aligning the planetary stuff and opening doorways for people to communicate and reconnect on a soul level. When we look at what's happening with human beings and how we're segregating ourselves more and more with less and less touch, less and less engagement on a physical level, and doing more of this interaction through computers and that, but recognizing computers in their core base are mineral based. You know, there's the silica, there's the gold, there's all the minerals that go into a computer. So Shimika is teaching me a lot about what that represents and how we use those in a different way, so that we don't have to. And what we've talked about is going down into the mining and how we mine the planet for some of these things, and how we can maybe tap into them without having to actually extract them from the Earth Mother. So as I said, so she spent over 500 years in a Mongolian monastery, and in 2012, on the 12-12-12, interestingly, she turned up on Mick's doorstep. Now, Mick's a warrior, ex-soldier, and a carver, and works with the stone himself, and one of my mentors that's taught me a lot about the medicine of the stones and how to connect with them and listen to them in the planet and how they talk to us. So he met the guardian of Shimiku in the Vietnam War. He was on a layover in Malaysia, and the monk that was the guardian of Shimiku was sat down with him at a cafe and basically gave Mick his whole story, his life history. And that was all he heard. And they kept in touch once or twice over the years after he come back from the Vietnam War. And then he passed away. When he passed away, the Shimiku was shipped up, put into a box and shipped off to Mick. And that with no instructions, no information about what mineral she is. So, we've had people look at her and they think she's amethyst, but when if you actually put a light underneath her, she glows blue. So her mineral changes. So if you get it, she's got a blue tint, and she changes with the colors of the different light colors. So we don't know what actual mineral she's made of. And then also she has codes engraved into the skull. So everybody that has an opportunity to sit and spend time with Shimiku gets something different. And I was told never to try and tell you exactly what Shimiku does, because she does something different for everybody. And that's the same with the minerals. What you get from a piece of quartz is different to what I might get from that same piece of quartz, because where it tunes into your body is different to where it tunes into my body, and how we interpret the medicine that comes. The other two that are sitting with her on the back here are a labradorite skull and a aquamarine skull. So aquamarine is about simplicity. It's about keeping things real and not getting so lost and then looking at something that you and I discussed in one of our other conversations about mining in the body, and how we mine our bodies and how we mine our minds, or information gathering and things, and that interpretation. So aquamarine's a really good mineral for helping to calm the mind down and bring us back to our centers. Labradorite for me is a mineral that works all about the free will. So it allows us to tap into our gifts and our skills. It's a really good one to use with children in their first 7 years when they are making that decision, especially children that I've worked with that have had life-threatening, cancer, illnesses that would take them out. But by the time they turn 7, all of a sudden they go into this miraculous recovery or remission. And to me, the journey that I've learned in spirit and working with the children and the crystals was that first 7 years lifespan, if they come in with something like that, is they're still deciding about whether they actually want to be here on the planet and do what they need to do. Because as we all know, being in spirit's much easier than being a human being on the planet right now. I know people who tap out and want to go to their spirit self, but having to be on the physical can be quite challenging with where we're all at right now.
Maybe we can talk about this a little bit. At every generation, people say, wow, things are changing and shifting, and it's never been shifted like this before. And every generation has their prophets about like the end of the world, or, because I think everyone feels the change that is happening every day, even just by being a human being in peaceful times, because the body keeps changing from the moment we are born until we die. Every day and every minute is a minute of change. It is a minute of movement. movement and change is really engraved within our experience in a body. And every generation and every time people say, okay, now this is it, or, you know, in a minute, redemption, or, you know, this kind of language is very ancient. You know, prophets foreseeing things and talking about the shifts and how humans need to be better or do different work. I mean, we see it from the Bible, and you know, it's very, very ancient. So in one way, it seems like we are saying the same thing for thousands of years. Definitely. And yet we are now alive. So now it's happening to us. So now we are experiencing it. So, and if we take it personally, it always, when you take something personally into heart, it always feels like this is bigger than what it used to be, or in history. And so in one aspect, I feel like I've been having these thoughts the last few weeks that really we are living as a humanity the same day over and over for thousands of years. Like we are, every day we get up to really the same day. I mean, 99.9% of the day is the same. The earth is beneath our feet. The sky is above our head. You know, the stars are out there. The trees are down here. Like 99% of every day is the same. So today I feel sad. Today I feel happy. Today I've been fired from my work. Today I have a new job. Today I break up. But really, what makes up our day is the same every day, most of it. But we take it so personally every day because our time is so limited that we think, oh, today is so different than yesterday. Yesterday I was so happy. Today I'm so, rattled or something. So this is one thing I'm thinking. And then together with this thought that maybe we, like, every human gets a chip of that same day from a different angle. And it's really, we are all living the same day. Today you're happy, tomorrow I'm happy. Today you're ill, tomorrow I'm ill. Yeah, we share the experience. So no one has to just be unhappy or sick or something like this. It's our turn. This is in a way what makes us equal. And at the same time as saying this, that every day is the same day and we're saying the same things, it does feel different. It does feel like this time or these times are shifting in a very, very deep, I would say, soul way. And what I mean is, in Hebrew, we have two different words to describe something. We have nefesh. Nefesh is like the living soul. And then we have neshama, which is like the spirit or the light being that we are. Okay, so we have these two words, and I would say that the changes I feel are happening within the living soul. It's like the deep emotional, subconscious archetype dimension that really it what generates our dreaming. This is where it's changing. The metaphor I had for it, like I started using it 2 years ago, I think, was like there's this Earth planet and it's fire inside, and the dragons have been sleeping for many years and dreaming the same dream. And now the last few years they've been stretching out a little bit, and they've been blowing out the old fire. And so the old dreams that really created our reality are now like diffusing. And reality is like diffusing, and they're ready for a new dream. But right now it's like the dragons have awakened, and we can't really hold on to reality as we used to hold on to it because they are not dreaming it for us.
Yes.
So so if the dragons are awake, and dragons are big force, and they're in the core of the planet, it's not like in the stars, it's really in the deep, deep tunnels of our stomach.
Absolutely, yes.
And when things shift there, it just feels like you, even though you know tomorrow you'll wake up and the ground will be beneath you and the sky above you, it doesn't feel like it. It feels like maybe it might not.
Yes. Very much like that right now. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think really what I'm really interested about the work I hope we will continue to do together is how we tap into that light source that lies within the planet. For many years, men look up to the sun, to the star, and, you know, God was like the sun or something. And what I feel now is maybe we are ready for more intimacy, meaning meeting the light closer within home. And it's very rattling. It's very strong. I mean, the light within the earth core is really, really strong. And it's much closer than the sunlight that is coming from so far away and is really ancient by the time it reaches us.
It's interesting you say that, because that's some of the work that I do. And it's when I do my medicine circles, the women's circles, or even just the general medicine circle working with the earth. And when we journey, my journeys have always been down into the earth mother. And when I started running my own circles and leading the circle, and I've had clients come to me and say that's the first time they've ever actually gone down through their base chakra energies, so their lower chakra system, and into the earth mother and through the earth star. A lot of the people ground to the earth star, but they don't go further than that and deeper into the earth. So that's a lot of what my work's all about, is opening that doorway for people to recognize, like yourself, you know, why are we reaching way out there when everything we need and have within us is already here. We came to this earth planet from a soul being to a physical being to learn about what this planet represents for us and how we can connect to it. So by going within the earth and opening those pathways of light, like I was saying, how you and I can communicate, I link it through the earth as opposed to trying to go around the earth like the big wide web that has been created with the internet, and the space junk that's out there is just crazy. You know, it's like we're condensing ourselves more and more by putting that stuff out there, because we create more and more layers of fields to reach through before we can reach out to those star systems that people have for, like you say, many years reached for or used as a tool to understand the planet. But like my work is that going deep within the earth mother and allowing her energy to express what we're doing and how we work, and that's the indigenous people. When you go back to your natives, you know, your Maoris, your indigenous Indians, and the ones that worked the planet and worked off the planet and went with the cycles. So you moved. So we're in winter now. So we know that it's warmer up north. So instead of staying down south where the snows are going to come, you move to the north and spend that time up there till that time is ready for you to move back and harvest the foods and the nurturing of the land that you actually want to be working with. So, yeah. So it's interesting that that's where we go with the teachings that we're both looking at, is, you know, coming back to the earth mother. We are here for a reason. And she's provided us a space to be, so let's be with it and enjoy what she's teaching us, as opposed to reaching outside ourselves all the time.
So I would like to relate to something you're saying. You call the planet Earth Mother. Yep. And so, which is very understandable and common use of, you know, a lot of learnings talk to the planet as a mother. And I would like to maybe share my perspective on this because in the last few months, maybe a year, I feel like I need to relate to the planet in new terminology. And calling her mother doesn't work for me anymore because it keeps me like a child. And like she's my host and she's feeding me and I'm like breastfeeding off of her. And I feel like these times are asking us to grow up and like stop looking at things through a child's eye, meaning Father Sky or God Father and then Earth Mother, and keep looking for help and answers within the parent paradigm. And the combination I've come up with instead of Earth's Mother is Earth Wonder, because Earth is really a wonder to me. And I don't feel like she wants to feed me or take care of me anymore. I think like it's time for her to retire from that position, or for me making her be that for me and keeping me dependent. And I feel like the way I understand the connection between us, between me and, or like my body and my soul to the planet, is like it is another organ of me, meaning like I can breathe into my liver and it does things for me, and I can breathe into my heart and it does things for me, and I can breathe into the planet like it's another organ, like I have another arm or another. And when I do that, and when I think about Earth in this way, first of all, I can start perceive my greatness, and more capable and less dependent, like as if she is bigger than me and she provides for me, and then I have to work with her or for her. And it's more like, okay, she's another part. I would say it, because I also think we need to shift from the he-she paradigm. I'm also an it. I don't perceive myself as woman or male, or I'm an it. I'm a being. And the planet is like my big body. I have a small body and a big body, and the big body feeds the small body. And if I breathe into it and I relate to it, maybe also eventually, instead of eating plants or whatever comes from plants that this big body provides or enables, I feed from light, from the core, because I'm light. And really every mineral in the planet is also somewhere in my body or in my soul being. So I feel like I have a lot of respect for indigenous learning, because I come from there, from Native American learnings. Like it's like my soul memory or something from past times. But I do feel that like mankind at this time, if we don't want to feel like people are telling us what to do, or governments, or like we feel like, if we want to really step into our abilities and true powers, then I like to think about the Earth planet as a coexistence next to me. She's not bigger than me. She's not smaller than me. She's not better. She's not worse. She is another possibility for me to experience myself through.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's what I was reflecting on when I said, about us being soul beings coming onto the planet. Again, it comes back to our language, the language, like you say, that we're using in this day and age, and the meaning of words and how they reflect. I did a course with a lady up north once, and she works, for me, it was really interesting, because she works with the language of words, and what, by breaking that word down and how we represent it, like you say, the mother. So what does mother represent for a lot of people, as you say, is that nurturing, that bringing us up and looking after us. But then the other side of mother is also letting you go and allowing you to find your feet and stand in your own truth, and allow yourself to be who you truly are. So that's where we're at, like you say, with the planet. So looking at those other words and other languages to be able to find a uniform in it. And I mean, when you look at what's out there, you know, we're trying to be multicultural and blend everybody and everything, and everybody has a right to be who they are and make the choices that they make. So as we step in more and more into that and change our language in those and just fields of understanding, that's where the language of the planet will change too, like you say. And I love that earth wonder. It's beautiful. It's like you say, the earth is wonder, and we are wonderful in our own rights if we stand in our power and our truth, and we create what we need in our journey. So living from the light of the planet and being a part of the planet in that way, as opposed to, like you say, having her nurture us and keep working with us. So finding that balance is where we go from here as our language starts to change. And I think that's what's evolving at the moment, is how we interpret things and understand it from your language base and my language base, and then and the many different languages on the planet at this time, you know, and finding that universal language that's going to, everybody can work within and find balance from. So we could all communicate without having to adjust what it means for me as opposed to what it means for you. So that language or that word is representative across the world, as opposed to what we have now, and breaking down different meanings behind those words from different languages too, like you said, you know.
I think the word wonder, in Hebrew, the word wonder is Pele. Pele is also a goddess in Hawaii, from the earth goddess, yes.
That's right, yep.
So in Hebrew, it's Pele. And I think the concept, or, you know, every generation has like its cluster of words that represent a lot of the awareness that the generation is working with. So there was, like, I think 20 or 30 years ago, Gaia was a big word used like very intensely. Yeah. Now you don't hear Gaia so much.
Not the same.
So like different generations, they get these words that support something in the evolution of the conscious. And I feel like I've been seeing the word Pele in many places. And also wonder, I think in a way, wonder is really, I mean, the eyes of a child, they are open with wonder, but it's a different kind of child position than the child who needs to be nourished or supported or it. And I think a lot of people have been, the last few years have been difficult. Yes. For many, many people, and for very realistic reasons. Life has been disrupted. I mean, the regular life course has been disrupted in a way that is almost traumatic for many people, and so a lot of thoughts like this is the end of the world, or bad things are happening, or people are going to take over, or corporations. There are many, many narratives out there, but really, what I feel is that these narratives are like a post-traumatic reaction. Maybe in the past, when difficult changes occurred, things happened in a way that took power from people and from individuals. But what I feel now, that if we embrace the word wonder, then we don't have to look at the future through the history or through the past. Because if we look at the future through the past, then it's just another cycle of pain and wars and you know, but if we manage to look to the future with wonder and not with the fear that is rightfully engraved within us through traumatic experiences in the past, then maybe we are allowing that day that we keep waking up to present itself in a new way. Maybe we can like wake up to a new day where
beautiful. Wouldn't that be lovely?
Yeah, so I think the wonder is really allowing things to change and not be as we experience them. Like, it's not learning from your experience, but learning from your imagination. It's not learning from history, but learning from what you desire or dream that can happen, or something like this.
Beautiful. It's interesting, isn't it? We are in some very challenging times, but very exciting times too, I feel, with what's going on for us all.
What do you feel is going on? Can you word it?
Elaborate. Right, with the planetary shutdown that sort of we went through, when you think about what COVID did and where it put everybody, into total shutdown, everybody had to really start to look at what it is they wanted out of their journey moving forward, and looking forward as opposed to looking back like we've been for so long, because it is a new time of change and balance. So as we come out the other side of this, looking at what's happening now as opposed to, say, 18 months ago, when we were all sort of masked up and sort of kept at bay a lot of the time, and couldn't journey our elders out of the planet. That was a very interesting time in the aspect that we couldn't take a lot of, people couldn't go and spend those last moments with their elders that were moving on and leaving the planet at this time with the changes going on. So to me, what's happening for me and my family, my journey was about consolidating all that I had done and all I'd learned over my lifetime so far of being with the planet, and allowing those changes to explore what comes next, and looking at the new clients that I've been receiving that have been coming through my door lately, and the things that they're looking at is, it's about being in the moment. It's about recognizing that today is the day that we do something about what we want, rather than, I can't do it until that happens, or I can't do it until this happens, or I've got to put that in place before that can happen. People are stepping more into their gifts and their power of creativity in themselves, and creating what they want to be on the planet, so that we can, with the generational change and thought processes that are going on. So it is about the whole shift of mindset and how we communicate, how we connect with each other. And what I've noticed is with the masks is telepathy is stepping up. People are communicating more with the eyes. Their third eye is being opened more and more, and they're seeing deeper into each other about what it is they want to create as a couple and relationships, as family units come together, the same in communities, people connecting in a different way. And then I look at my granddaughter who's coming through, and she's sort of, she's 6, but the ones under her and the children that have come through and been born into this experience, what their gifts are and what they're going to give to the planet as they grow and develop what it is within them that allows us to transition off the planet because we've done our job, or we've connected with what our purpose is. So we, and that purpose doesn't have to be anything huge and fantastic like people think. It's about how you react to a situation and what you put in on that level of yourself, and feel good about what that means to you, So coming back to that heart energy and just staying centered within ourselves. So as we come out of, because it's what I see at the moment, we're sort of breaking out of the cocoon of what COVID was and how that locked the planet down. And we were put in our wee cocoons, and people got to blossom and change, the transformation that's happening. And now we're just starting, the cocoons are starting to open, and people are exploring new ideas and new ways of being. Consequently, why yourself and I have journeyed and come together, and your guidance and my guidance have brought us to a place where we can share what we know about ourselves, and then maybe that might help 1, maybe 2, 3 people. It might help a dozen, but it's just, for me, it's about knowing that where I'm at right now and what the crystals have given me over my journey and the work that I've done with them, it's now time to share that knowledge and gift that knowledge back to whoever wants to listen or connects with it. So the growth in where we go forward is exciting. I'm really looking forward to what the generation that is coming through are going to bring in their vibrational work that they do, and our work as teachers, because I know myself when I was stepping into my healing journey with the injury in my back in my 20s and finding out what that represented for me and finding a new way of being and healing myself rather than having to go down the physical surgery line and all of that stuff. So yeah, so it's like that for me was, and then when I was looking for people to talk to or share or get information or find knowledge from, they weren't there to the extent that they are now. So that's in the exciting times, is like we're here, we're sharing what we know and our ideas and our guidance, so that somebody like my granddaughter might come along and watch this one day and go, well, that, you know, and unpick that for themselves and see what that represents to where they are in their journey and what's happening on the planet for them in their moment in time. So yeah,
it's really more presence. It
seems
like
definitely
people
more
who
presence.
are coming to you are trying to be more present in their life.
Very, yes.
And it seems like it's like unconditional presence. So it doesn't matter what comes, or I don't condition doing something by something else happening. It's like unconditional present, which brings me to the beginning of our conversation, talking about time, how time is changing. And really, it's more about bringing more energy to the present and to being present in the present. And unconditionally doing it. So it's really, I think for many years, the portion of past in every moment of present was really, really big. And the portion of future was very small. And also, so it's like the portions within each moment. I mean, each moment holds the past, the future, and the present.
Absolutely.
But I feel that for many years, the past was very dominant in every present moment, like who I were, where I came from, and the history and like everything that was. And it really dominated our experience of every moment that could really be new and wondrous. And maybe now we are able to even bring a bit more of the future to the present. And the future is the future that we wish for. I mean, it's not set here yet.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
If I wish for some kind of future and it's not here yet, I can still decide it's here unconditionally. So maybe the sky is not purple yet. It's just blue. Maybe I wish it to be purple. But I can decide for myself that there is purple in my sky today, even if I can't see it. And then I kind of import the future into the present instead of reliving the past.
Yes.
And this is something I think we can like all do. And this is something I've been trying to teach a lot these couple of years. It's okay, the past is full of traumas and also beauty, but we can now, because dream time and reality time is more connected, we can import visions from dream time or from future into the reality, because reality is not as dense as it was a few years ago. So, and what makes the sky purple, for instance, is not for it to be purple for everyone. It is for me to see the purple within my sky. So I think if we look to the future in wondrous eyes, with beautiful wonder, and we start to dream and have the courage to dream a beautiful, simple dream, and then we start living the future unconditionally in the present, even though I'm lonely now and maybe I want friends. Maybe I don't have friends right now and I feel lonely. But if I look to the future and I see, oh, I could have friends, and I can import that sense of well-being of having friends into the present and just looking at the ant walking across the table as my friend, or the caterpillar, or the butterfly. And then I start vibrating the future feeling in the present. Then I really create more of what I want in the presence. And because time is shifting, I feel like everything is happening faster. So I don't have to imagine it for very, very long, because and it's not just in the imagination, it's mostly in the feeling. So if I look to the future, and what is purple sky for me? It's wonder, it's beautiful, it's something new, it's deep. Okay. And I start feeling these feelings now, even though it looks blue to me. Then I really am starting to create a purple vibration around me. And the essence of what it is that I want will find its way towards me. And so I think maybe it's a very, very simple practice to, but it's not so simple because people feel embarrassed to do it. And they feel like, no, like this is not for
somebody,
me.
Who's judging me? They get stuck in other people's judgments of themselves.
But then maybe we can talk about this a little bit, because you work a lot with crystals. Using crystals or stones or rocks is a way to ground our imagination into earth, or ground our wishes into earth, because it's working with an earth element that is full of light. And it's not just in my mind. So like if I take a crystal and I have a vision and I put it on the earth, then I'm grounding that vision. So I'm curious to hear how you work with the crystals. And I know you do a lot of work with them. So
it's something I haven't actually looked at doing. I'll have to explore that one. Because, I mean, well, crystals, like I said, everything we work with in this day and age has a mineral content to it. So, there's a basis from everything we touch, use, or integrate into our lives has come from the planet somewhere in some form or shape originally. So, and I look at, and then we come back to what we've talked about with the mining and that, and how we're stripping stuff out of the earth. And that's part of what's creating some of the earth changes that are happening at the planet at the moment, because when we take too much of a resource away, the planet then has to adjust and use other resources to be able to implement change or bring about. So like the brain, when something goes wrong, we can rewire it and that. So that's what the planet's doing, because as human beings, through mining and that, and all the things and the technology that we're wanting and needing in our lives per se, is stripping the planet of all these wonderful tools that she uses to be able to communicate with us and with the tree beings and the crystal beings and all the other beings of the planet. So, we look at the ocean as the salt, as her tears, and the waters that run through the valleys and the ocean, the rivers, and that they're the clear waters. That's their blood life. That's what runs. That's their blood veins, and all those little creeks and that. That's all those little veins running through. So when we start to take crystals or minerals from the planet and move them, because this is something I get that the divas, when I talk with them, and the crystal beings that I work with, when I talk with them, we take crystals and we put them somewhere because we've got a big quartz crystal. So somebody might extract one of these great big quartz crystals out of the earth, and it's a generator crystal. So it's generating the planet. It's generating some sort of heat or purpose in where it was. We take it from there and move it and sit it somewhere else on the planet. It then sets up an energy line, which is different. So, and that's why we end up with our whales and that beaching themselves in certain places, because somebody's moved a great big crystal from within the earth, which shouldn't have been moved in its right. The earth wonder gives us many wonders on her surface that we don't need to dive deep within her to pull these things out. But as technology and evolution has come about, we're stripping these things out of the earth so that we can create a communication between ourselves, like with the computers, and being able to do this through the silica and all of the bits and pieces that go into creating the connection that we make through this field. But then we come back to, we can use crystals to do this too. So if you get the right sort of crystal, and I could say to you, you need, if you got this quartz crystal and I had my quartz crystal here and we could communicate through that stone as well. So it's the same thing. And that's what my understanding was of Atlantean times and how the crystals were used then. Again, not wanting to tap into the past, but the Atlantean energy is what's happening on the planet right now. Is, you know, the stuff was being taken so much that we lost our way, and now we need to find that center back. So the minerals that are on the planet now are being stripped more than we need to. So if we can block some of the mining that's going on, because gold being stripped out of our planet, well, as we know, gold is a communicator. It's a conductor of energy. So by pulling all of that out of the planet, what's not happening through the planet? What can she use to conduct herself or conduct the energy in the flow that that the planet needs to work with? So crystals in that way are what we're using through technology now. And it's what we will probably fully come back to when we understand how we can use crystals in that way without having to take the big crystals, you know. A little quartz crystal that size will do the same job as a big crystal that size. It's all in the intent of what we work with within our heart when we work with that piece of mineral or stone or crystal or energy being. Because like ourselves, crystals, they grow. People, you know, they are a living entity. So they're growing in the planet. So by taking them away, we're stunting that growth. We're chopping off, like you said, an arm or a limb of some sort, or taking something away from ourselves by taking that out of the earth.
So if we want to ground something into a crystal, we don't really have to have that crystal. We can just ground our intention into the crystal. And even the stone outside my yard is
that's right.
Is a library and a transformer of energy. So I think really we can maybe be more modest about what we think we need. And I think maybe this is one of the learnings in general, that we take more than we need, or we think we need. We some people actually think they need more than they need, but really we can really do with less. And it's not about poverty, and it's not about like not having enough or feeling okay, I'm squeezing myself into something small, because there's really no big and small. There is essence. So there is the essence of the quartz, and I can even have it homeopathically. I don't even have to have it. So like it can be reduced into things are essence. Before they became matter, everything that is in matter is really an essence. So if I learn the essence of communication, I don't need a computer. I can communicate with you. The computer is now allowing me to understand something that I could do with my mind.
Definitely.
Like everything we have in matter, like the tree. Okay, so I learn from the tree stability or growth or roots or working with water and light. But everything that we have in matter is really an essence. And if I tap into the essence of gold or the essence of quartz or the essence of tree, I don't need to, or even later on, if I tap into the essence of food, and I can be nourished by something different. It's like we learn nourishment, we learn communication, we learn paradigms. So I think we were talking about mining because we kind of, you were sharing with me that there is a lot of mining in New Zealand, and they were trying to open another mine for gold. And one of the things that I feel is most disrupted by mining is the flow of clear water or sweet water, or not salty water. And it's really the blood of the planet, and we rely on this water. And I think the reason people do these things unsensitively is just because they are not sensitive enough to feel the outcome of what they're doing. Because if they were sensitive enough to feel at every moment the echo of what every action that they are taking, then they wouldn't mind in this way. And so it's really a bit of ignorance, not understanding the consequences. And the consequences are not in the realm where we usually see consequences. It's in a gentler, more sensitive way that some people feel, and some people just don't feel. So they don't understand what's the big thing. Yeah,
that's the big one.
Not a
yeah,
problem.
they
And it's
don't
not
feel. Yeah, so
and
they don't understand.
I think really one of the things that it's really, really important to develop at these times is a more sensitivity, because karma is really very fast these days. Like you immediately feel, you say the wrong word and you immediately feel that was the wrong word, or you say the right word and you immediately feel it is the right word. But people have been so used to abiding laws that they lost their sensitivity. Okay, this is by law I can do this, so it's okay. By law I can't do it, so it's wrong. But the law has nothing to do with sensitivity. And if we are sensitive, we don't need laws, because no one sensitive would want to do anything that is problematic for anything else. And it doesn't mean you are not being very sensitive, doesn't mean you can't do anything. It means you can do many, many, many things. And it doesn't mean tiptoeing. It just means to understand and to expand your sensitivity to further away places that are not so far away anymore.
Yes.
And also I think mining, a lot of us, we do our own mining. Like I need this awareness now. I'm going to mine. I'm going to sit and I'm going to find it. Yeah. And I'm going to try to remember that dream. And I'm going to try to follow. We work really, really hard, and we're not very sensitive with ourselves. We don't really trust that we are where we're supposed to be. We don't really trust that we're doing wonderfully without mining ourselves and insisting on getting another treasure. And maybe we need to shift the way we look at treasures, because gold is like a treasure, or quartz, it's a treasure, right? It's like something I can use and make me rich or enable me to do something, or it's just exciting to find. Yeah, I mean, if I find a beautiful crystal, I feel like I found a treasure. Yeah, and
absolutely,
it's exciting. And maybe we need to, in one way, understand the need of the human experience to find a treasure or to seek for a treasure, but maybe we can find it in a different way.
Not even so finding a treasure, but not having to remove that treasure from where we found it.
That's also interesting. Yeah, like just finding it and enjoying it, but
that
not
moment of recognizing it,
owning
and
it
in its wholeness. Yeah,
that's a nice point. I like that. Because when we find something beautiful, we want to take it. We want to keep it. And it's so understandable, but it's really ours from the moment we found it. But it's ours because it became part of us, but we don't necessarily need to own it or take it or.
And that was one of my big lessons when I go and walk the rivers and collect stone and minerals and crystals, when the calling is for me to go and collect what I need to collect. And a lot of that mining is actually done in crystal shops and buying pieces to return to the earth for the purposes of what it was come out of the earth for. So that whole journey is interesting in its own right, to recognize that we don't need to have it in our homes to be able to have it. So leaving that piece of stone up the river. I can walk up the river next week and visit that piece of stone. I don't have to bring it home so that it's mine and it stays here. It's there in the river for everyone to enjoy when they walk past that little treasure. But as human beings, we tend to want to own and claim ownership on so many things. And that's what needs to change. That's where we need to move our mindsets about, like you say, having to own or take and just be with that piece in the earth or in the bush, or, you know, sitting under that tree with your back to it and feeling what that tree's feeling today, or you know.
And also, I think it's about balance, because if I feel like there was this day I felt the desert was calling me to, I call it stone hunting, but it's like, but really the stones hunt you, because they go
they call you out.
So they find your eye and then
they made the connection.
So because this is how they move from one place to another, and sometimes they do wish to move.
They hitchhike rides with us.
So I think it's like also sensitivity, it's also balance, it's also being careful. Like if I feel a stone is calling for me to do work, I will take it home and I will put it on my stomach and I will let it interact with me. So I think it's not about, I think it's okay sometimes to move stones from one place to another, because actually we are at their service, you know?
Definitely. That's what I'm, so in that aspect of what I was sharing there, was like, my lesson was sometimes we go and we collect and we think we're going to take, but we don't always have to take.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
That's what I was trying to express with that lesson of, you know, leaving something behind. But if the calling comes, because like you say, I mean, we communicate, so stones communicate with us, trees communicate with us. In the Maori tradition and medicine, we use the sticks of the tree, and we call them the rako. The rako represents the tree's sticks, and the medicine that is held within a stick, and how you can use that on your body. And if the tree's gifted that stick, you know, it's not about going and cutting the tree down. It's, you know, the branches that have fallen are the ones that you use. Again, like I was saying, the earth mother the earth gifts us things on the surface. We don't have to keep taking and digging deep within. If we're meant to find, or something's called us because we're doing that walk or we're in that space, we'll find it and it'll connect with us, and you'll know whether it's an opportunity to take home and work with, or just sit within that space and share. Like our sacred sites, you know, the places that have been set up for people just to go and sit and be and enjoy what the energy of those beings or have created within that space, and understanding what that is. And
Okay, so I think we are nearing the end of our time, but I'm thinking maybe before we end this conversation, we can have more. I'm thinking, is there something that you would like to emphasize or say to the people who are listening to us these days and are going through what they're going? Something you want, like a knowledge or a word or awareness that you would like for them to give, or something like this? Like very concise, very simple, because we talked about many things, and we talked about them in different levels of complexity. Definitely. And so I'm just wondering if there's something more that is important for you to say on this podcast or interview.
One thing I would like to read is a message, is a wee poem that's in a set of cards that I work with from here, from New Zealand, from one of my elders that he created for the medicine of here. And because we were talking about earth medicine and the mining and things like that, this wee poem just sort of presented itself. So I'd like to just read that and reflect that back for people and wrap it up in that way, if that's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So these are the Wisdom of the Four Winds by Barry Brailsford, who is a storyteller, a book writer, a medicine man who's walked the path of the elders with the elders to share their story. He's a white man in all respects, but has his Maori heritage. But he went through a battle within himself and with the elders, because he was a white man walking a Maori pathway and sharing knowledge of and wisdom from the past for the future. So when I read this, it's not about what it gave in the past, it's about what the planet's doing and where we're moving towards. So, fear not the mountains fall or the rising oceans roar. Fear not the sharp earthquakes or the hungry flames that roar. Be strong with the hands that shift and the lands that shift, and open to the message when the volcanoes cry. It gives a rite of passage. All is of the circle and of the magic of the birth. That is the mystery of the making of our earth. So it was just something that popped up. So it was like, be in the moment when you're connecting anywhere on the planet, and just know that you're never alone, because all that is without is within us.
Thank you. So,
thank you.
I think before we finish, maybe we take a moment to breathe. We can just center ourselves back into our hearts. There were many words going around back and forth, and many ideas. And maybe not all of these ideas are right for everyone. So we take a moment to breathe, and you can take whatever is right for you, or nothing or everything. And just make sure whoever listens to this podcast or a conversation, that you don't have to adopt everything we said, and not these are different point of views. So we take a moment to we can put our hands on our heart. We can just breathe to our hearts. We can inhale slowly, and then we can pause, and then we can exhale slowly from our mouth. And again, we inhale through our nose, slowly, very, very slowly and gently. Then we pause in our hearts. We feel our existence. We feel our body boundaries. And then we exhale very gently through our mouth. And again, we inhale slowly and gently through our nose. Then we pause. We feel our body boundaries. We feel our presence. And then we exhale very gently from our mouth. Now, whenever we want to center, this is a very, very simple breathing exercise that helps us tone down the mind and just be present in our heart and in our body. And we can inhale a future happy thought or imagination. Then we can pause it in our hearts and make that future present within our vibration. And then we can exhale softly whatever is not in our best interest anymore. And again, we can inhale a beautiful imagination or emotion or feeling. We can pause and let it vibrate within our heart, within the present. And then we exhale gently all that we can let go. I'd like to thank you very much for being here with us and listening to our conversation and allowing us into your hearts and minds. And I'd like to say thank you, Jackie, very much for being here with me. And I feel like just by talking to you, things shift and move, and I'm very grateful for that.
Beautiful. Thank you, Zohar, for inviting me along.